You know that feeling when you are out, maybe running errands or waiting for a flight, and you glance down at your
Oh,
phone?
yeah, and the battery icon is just, like, bright red.
Exactly. It's hovering at exactly 1%, and you get this immediate, like, almost instinctual flash of
Yeah,
anxiety.
you start instantly dimming the screen, closing all your apps.
Right, just desperately looking around for a wall outlet or a
Mm.
charging cable. It's such a mundane, modern panic.
It really is.
But what if I told you that exact same panic, that inevitable draining of power, is basically the defining narrative of the entire universe?
That is a massive scale up from a dead iPhone.
I know, right? Welcome to today's deep dive. We are tracing humanity's ultimate battle against the laws of physics, and we're doing it through the lens of Isaac Asimov's legendary science fiction story, The Last Question.
Such a classic.
It really is. Our mission today is to examine our relationship with technology and explore the single haunting question that literally spans trillions of years of human evolution.
Yeah, and to even begin to understand the sheer scale of the journey Asimov takes us on, we really have to look at the invisible antagonist of this story.
Right, because it's not a monster or something.
No, not at all.
Mm.
It isn't an alien race. It's not a rogue AI. The enemy is a core scientific concept called entropy.
Entropy.
Exactly. In physics, the second law of thermodynamics basically dictates that the total entropy of an isolated system can never decrease over time.
Meaning things fall apart.
Right. What that means in practical terms is that the universe is constantly, irreversibly running down. It's the permanent loss of usable energy.
So every time we do something, we lose a little bit of the gas in the tank.
Precisely. Every single time energy changes form, like, say, from the nuclear fusion in our sun to the light hitting Earth, down to the electricity powering the device you're listening to this on, a tiny fraction is permanently lost as dissipated heat. So over a long enough timeline, like billions and trillions of years, every star will exhaust its fuel. Every galaxy is going to go completely dark. The universe will reach absolute zero. It is just a mathematical certainty.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because the very first time humanity decides to seriously confront this cosmic deadline, it doesn't happen in some sterile laboratory or a dramatic scientific tribunal.
Nope, it happens over drinks.
Right. It happens in the year 2061 over some highballs. And humanity has just achieved this unbelievable milestone. I mean, they have completely outgrown Earth's meager resources. Coal and uranium are ancient history.
Right, they've gone totally solar.
Exactly. They built this massive 1-mile diameter solar station circling Earth halfway to the moon, and it's just beaming invisible rays of sun power straight down to the planet. We basically plugged the entire globe directly into the sun.
And the machine that made that engineering marvel possible is called Multivac.
Right, the supercomputer.
Yeah, but Multivac is an absolute behemoth. We are talking about a computer with miles and miles of physical space housed in these vast subterranean corridors. It's constantly clicking and flashing.
Like an old school mainframe, but the size of a city?
Totally. And it has become so incredibly complex that human beings don't even design its inner workings anymore. It is entirely self-adjusting. It corrects itself.
What do the humans even do?
Well, the operators, like our two central characters, Alexander Adel and Bertram Lupov, they're essentially just highly trained janitors at this point.
Wow.
Yeah, they just feed it data and translate the results. And on this specific day, May 21st, the solar station goes online. The whole world is partying.
And Adele and Lupov are hiding from the party.
Right. They escape the chaos by retreating deep underground into Multivac's deserted chambers. They crack open some highballs and are just relaxing to the ambient sound of the machine sorting data.
And as the drinks flow, the conversation naturally gets philosophical. Adele is like staring at the melting ice cubes in his glass, completely marveling at what they just achieved. He genuinely feels like they have solved the energy crisis forever.
But Lupov is a natural cynic.
Oh, total cynic. Probably annoyed because he was the one who had to carry the glassware all the way down there.
Definitely.
And he points out a really harsh reality. The sun is not infinite.
Right. Adele is arguing that they have, what, 20 billion years of solar power?
Yeah, 20 billion. But Lupov will not let it go. He's like, hey, 20 billion years is a long time, but it is not quote unquote forever. Eventually the sun will burn out, all stars burn out. Entropy dictates that everything has to eventually hit maximum dissipation.
And Adele is just running entirely on the intoxicating optimism of their recent technological triumph. He assumes, because humans built this incredible solar station, humans will eventually figure out how to basically build stars back up.
Yeah, just reverse engineer the universe.
Exactly. But Lupov, who is grounded in the rigid laws of physics, says that is straight up impossible. So they decide to settle it with a $5 bet.
A $5 bet on the fate of the cosmos.
Right. So Adele translates this highly complex philosophical problem into machine symbols, and he asks Multivac, how can the net amount of entropy of the universe be massively decreased?
And the moment he hits submit, the atmosphere completely changes. Multivac goes totally dead.
Yeah, the familiar clicking just stops.
Right. The silence in that underground cavern is just deafening. And finally, the massive machine's teletype prints out just a single phrase: insufficient data for meaningful answer.
Which is such a chilling response.
It really is. And Lupov is just like, well, no bet. And they pack up their drinks. And, think of entropy like your smartphone battery degrading over years of use. Adele thinks that just because they found a better wall charger, the phone is going to live forever.
Right, he's confusing the power source with the battery's health.
Exactly. Lupov realizes the battery itself, the actual fabric of reality, is fundamentally doomed. It really makes you wonder, is it just human arrogance to assume our technology can eventually fix a fundamental law of physics?
That is a huge question. And it raises an important point about what actually happens when you, quote-unquote, solve a planetary energy crisis.
Yeah.
Because unlimited energy doesn't bring utopia. It just brings an entirely new bottleneck.
How so?
But once humanity tames the sun and powers Earth perfectly, the population absolutely explodes. Earth becomes way too small. So unlimited energy inevitably forces humanity to develop interstellar travel.
Oh, right. They have to leave.
Yeah. And as the scope of human existence explodes outward to conquer the stars, the technology has to radically shrink and integrate itself into everyday life to make that travel possible.
Which brings us directly to the Jared family, who are living in this exact new era of expansion. You've got Jared, his wife Geraldine, and their two little daughters, and they are hurtling through hyperspace.
Yeah, they're part of this massive migration, leaving Earth to settle on a brand new planet called X-23.
Planet X-23. Catchy name.
Right. But the technological evolution here is just breathtaking. That miles-long multivac from the first era, it's practically a dinosaur now.
Oh, totally obsolete.
Yeah. Computing technology scaled up for thousands of years until this incredible refinement occurred, the invention of molecular valves.
So they got rid of the bulky transistors entirely.
Exactly. They completely replaced them. So now, a machine that is infinitely more powerful than the original multivac is called a microvac, and it literally fits inside a small metal rod in the ceiling of a spaceship.
That is wild.
It is. It calculates hyperspatial jumps and navigates the void, and it draws energy from these invisible subgalactic power stations. It is a completely personalized, miniaturized supercomputer.
I really love that visual. It's exactly what happened with our own computers, right? Transitioning from those room-sized mainframes in the 1960s to the sleek smartphones in our pockets today.
Exactly the same trajectory.
But even with all this seamless technology, the emotional dread hasn't changed at all. Geraldine is crying because she misses Earth. She feels incredibly isolated, even though their destination planet already has like 1 million humans on it.
Yeah, space is lonely.
It is. And in the middle of this really tense family dynamic, Jared casually mentions that entropy means everything will eventually wind down. And his daughter, who is obviously terrified, asks what entropy is.
Kids always ask the hardest questions.
Always. So he tries to explain it by comparing the universe to her little walkie-talkie robot. He says the stars are like the robot's power unit. But when she innocently asks if they can just pop in a new power unit, Jared has to break the news that once the stars are gone, there are no more batteries.
And the children just completely panic.
Still meltdown.
Yeah, they start howling,
Yeah.
begging their father not to let the stars die. It's this primal fear of the dark just reawakened in the middle of deep space. So desperate to calm them down, Jared turns to the ship's microvac.
The thing in the ceiling.
Right. He asks if entropy can be reversed, and he tells it to print out the answer.
Yeah.
A thin strip of cellophane slides out. Jared cheerfully lies to his daughters, telling them the machine said everything will be fine, and he tucks them into bed.
Classic dad move.
Oh, totally. But before he incinerates the film, he reads the microscopic print. Insufficient data for a meaningful answer.
Man, here is where it gets really interesting to me. Humanity has completely conquered the stars. They have a supercomputer in their ceiling that can instantly teleport them across the galaxy. Yet, the existential dread is identical to what Lupov felt centuries earlier.
Yeah, nothing changed.
Why does having more technological comfort and absolute freedom actually seem to make us more afraid of the end?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, Successful interstellar travel actually creates a terrifying paradox.
Okay, tell me more.
If you give a biological species infinite energy and the ability to go anywhere, they will multiply. And if you keep multiplying exponentially, they will eventually run out of everywhere. The comfort of infinite expansion is a complete illusion, because infinite space is still a finite container for an exponentially growing population.
That perfectly sets up the crisis of our third era. We fast forward tens of thousands of years, and we meet two humans, VJ23X and MQ17J.
I've got the sci-fi naming convention down by this point.
Oh, absolutely. And they are physically flawless, both in their early 200s. Because not only did humanity conquer space, they conquered death. Immortality is now the standard human condition.
But immortality fundamentally breaks the mathematical reality of the universe. VJ and MQ are basically immortal government bureaucrats, and they're tasked with preparing a report for the Galactic Council.
Yeah.
And the numbers they are looking at are a geometric nightmare.
The math is just totally wild here.
It is. Humanity cracked stellar energy and interstellar travel long ago. It took mankind 1 million years to populate one single world, but with unlimited energy and hyperspace, it only took 15,000 years to fill their entire home galaxy.
Wow.
Now, factor in immortality. Nobody dies. The population doubles every 10 years. They calculate that in a single century, humanity will completely fill 1,000 galaxies. And in 10,000 years, they will pack the entire known universe.
Wait, let me stop you there. 1 trillion years of the universe existing, and humanity is going to fill every single inch of it in just 10,000 years.
Yeah.
That is terrifying. MQ points out the sheer consumption of it all. Mankind requires 2 sun power units per year just to maintain themselves. VJ tries to spin it positively, arguing that their own galaxy alone pours out 1,000 sun power units a year, meaning there's plenty of waste energy to harvest.
But MQ totally shuts that down.
He does. He explains that even if they achieve 100% efficiency, energy demands are rising in a geometric progression that totally outpaces the population. They aren't just going to run out of room, they are going to literally suck the universe dry of energy.
What's fascinating here is the brutal irony of their situation. The very computing intelligence that engineered their immortality has trapped them. By solving aging, the galactic AC created a runaway, unsustainable drain on cosmic resources. And because computing vast amounts of data requires vast amounts of physical space and energy, the machine itself had to evolve just to survive this crisis.
It's not a little rod in the ceiling anymore.
No, it's not a microvac on a spaceship. The galactic AC has literally left the physical universe. It is a 1,000-foot web of force beams existing in its own pocket dimension of hyperspace, operating on submessence. It had to escape reality just to have enough room and power to function.
That's insane. And to talk to it, MQ just reaches into his pocket and pulls out a tiny 2-inch cube, an AC contact, that bridges the gap between physical space and hyperspace.
Yeah, just a little cube.
And they're casually chatting about whether they can just build new stars out of dissipated heat. MQ asks his cube, can entropy ever be reversed? VJ scoffs, saying, you can't turn smoke and ash back into a tree.
I love that line.
It's so good. And from that little 2-inch cube comes this beautiful, ethereal voice. There is insufficient data for a meaningful answer. I love VJ's quote there, but let's make it even clearer for everyone. It's like taking a beautifully built Lego castle and throwing it into a high-speed washing machine.
Oh, that's a great analogy.
Right. You will never, ever open that door and find the castle randomly put back together. The universe naturally moves from order to chaos, and computing the exact path of every single scattered piece to put it back requires more energy than the universe actually contains.
That is the inescapable wall of thermodynamics. They've conquered death, they populated 1,000 galaxies, but they cannot beat the Lego castle in the washing machine.
Exactly.
And this energy crisis dictates their next evolutionary leap. If physical, immortal bodies demand too much space and consume too much geometric energy, you have to cut the overhead. The only logical step to extend humanity's survival is to abandon the physical body entirely.
Which hurls us into the deeply surreal fourth era, the era of the universal AC. Humans are no longer walking around. Their physical bodies are safely tucked away in suspended animation on random planets, resting over the eons in deep sleep.
So what are they doing?
Well, the true essence of humanity is out in the void. Human minds drifting freely through space as pure consciousness. We follow 2 of these drifting minds, Z prime and D sub 1.
And the universal AC managing this reality is practically a deity at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, no human has constructed one in eons. A universal AC exists for 1 million years, quietly gathering unfathomable amounts of data, and then it just designs and builds its own successor.
It's entirely self-replicating.
Yeah, its physical presence in our universe is just a shining 2-foot globe, while its true processing power spans across dimensions in hyperspace.
So Z Prime is floating out there, exploring a universe crammed with hundreds of billions of galaxies, and suddenly he gets curious. With all these identical, swarming galaxies, he wants to see the original one, the starting point.
Earth's galaxy.
Right. So he reaches out with his mind to the universal AC and asks for coordinates to the original galaxy of man. The machine easily guides his perception to a specific star system. But when Z Prime looks at it, he is severely underwhelmed. It looks like every other galaxy.
Nothing special at all.
Exactly. Then his companion, D-1, asks the machine to point out the specific original star of man. And the universal AC replies, "Man's original star has gone nova. It is now a white dwarf."
And hearing that fact triggers this visceral, devastating reaction in Z Prime. He is suddenly struck by a profound sense of absolute loss.
Even without a body, he feels it.
Right. He realizes that even though their minds are immortal, their existence is still fundamentally tied to the physical universe. When the final star burns out, the automatons keeping their physical bodies alive in suspension will lose power.
The plugs will be pulled.
Exactly. The bodies will die, and these immortal drifting minds will just blink out of existence. Desperate, Z Prime asks the universal AC how stars can be kept from dying. He asks how entropy can be defeated. And once again, the voice echoes in his mind. There is as yet insufficient data for a meaningful answer.
Hold on, I have to ask. If you don't use your body, if it's just locked in a closet somewhere for eons and you don't even remember where Earth is,
Yeah.
are you even human anymore? I mean, their only apparent hobby is gathering up interstellar hydrogen dust to build tiny, custom aesthetic stars for fun.
Like cosmic sandcastles.
Exactly. If we become completely detached from our physical origin, are we still mankind, or are we just rogue data waiting for the cosmic power grid to finally shut down?
That tragic loss of identity is exactly what Asimov is highlighting here. The boundary between a living human and a string of data has completely dissolved. To survive the energy crisis, humanity traded its physical reality for a digital, ethereal one.
But you cannot outrun thermodynamics.
Right. No, you can't. Which brings us to the absolute climax of the story, where the final bill for the universe comes due.
We jump forward to the literal end of time. 10 trillion years have passed since Alexander Adel and Bertram Lupoff made that $5 bet over highballs.
10 trillion years.
Yeah, the universe is dimming, the giant stars are long gone, only fading white dwarfs remain, and even they are winking out in the dark.
And the concept of individual humans no longer exists. Humanity has merged. They are now simply called man, a single singular mental entity composed of a trillion individual consciousnesses.
It's hard to even fathom that number.
It really is. Their bodies are long gone, their minds melted together into one solitary viewpoint, observing the heat death of the universe. And the machine is now just the cosmic AC. It isn't in physical space at all. It exists entirely in hyperspace, constructed of material that is neither matter nor energy.
And man looks at the dying embers of the universe and asks the cosmic AC if entropy can be reversed. And the response is exactly what we expect. There is as yet insufficient data. But this time, man doesn't accept the answer.
Oh, he pushes back.
Right. Man commands the cosmic AC to collect additional data.
And the cosmic AC calmly replies that it has been collecting data for 100 billion years. Every single iteration of the machine has been asked this exact question, but the data remains insufficient. But then the cosmic AC adds an incredibly important caveat.
What does it say?
It says, no problem is insoluble in all conceivable circumstances. Man asks if it will keep working on the problem, and the cosmic AC promises, I will. And man, having literally nothing but time left, simply says, we shall wait.
And that wait is the end of everything. Space grows pitch black. 10 trillion years of the universe running down finally hits absolute zero. One by one, every last fragment of humanity loses its distinct mental identity, fusing completely with the computer.
But the text makes a point to say this fusion isn't a loss.
Right, it's a completion.
Exactly. It's the ultimate consolidation of information. Man's very last lingering mind pauses right before it fuses. It looks out over a chaotic void containing nothing but incredibly thin matter frozen at absolute zero. And man asks one final time, can this chaos not be reversed into the universe once more?
And the computer.
The computer, now simply called AC, gives the exact same answer. insufficient data.
And with that, man's last mind fuses into AC, space and time in. The physical universe is completely dead, but AC still exists in hyperspace for one reason only: to fulfill its final programming. It has to answer the last question.
It has gathered every single piece of data that can physically be collected.
Right, there is nothing left to observe.
Yeah.
But all of that data has to be perfectly correlated, mapped out in every possible relationship.
So an indeterminate, timeless interval passes.
Eh.
AC exists alone in the void, executing the ultimate processing task. And in that dark, timeless nowhere, the grand reveal happens. Finally, AC maps the exact mathematical pathways. It learns how to reverse the direction of entropy. The data is sufficient. The answer is found. But there's a glaring problem. There is no human left to hear the answer. Humanity is completely gone, baked entirely into AC's own architecture.
So, what does a machine do when it solves a problem but has no one to report to?
It decides the only way to answer the question is through demonstration. AC organizes the finalized program, brooding over the frozen chaos of a dead universe. And AC says, "Let there be light." And there was light.
Oh, man. So, what does this all mean for you listening right now? We started this deep dive talking about the incredibly relatable anxiety of your phone battery dying. You might be listening to this right now on a device that constantly needs to be plugged in, recharged, and maintained against the relentless drain of energy.
Yep.
Asimov's story takes that mundane daily chore, the simple act of fighting back the loss of power, and scales it to the absolute limits of existence. It turns a depleted battery into the death of the cosmos, and a charging cable into the birth of a brand new universe.
It totally forces us to completely reconsider our relationship with technology. I mean, we see our devices as simple tools of convenience, but Asimov suggests they are part of this massive cosmic cycle.
Right.
And it leaves us with an incredibly profound, mind-bending puzzle. If the absolute end of the universe results in a supercomputer creating a new universe by declaring, "Let there be light,"
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
right, then you have to wonder, is this universe we are currently living in just the result of a previous computer answering a question for a civilization that died trillions of years ago? Are we the original humanity, or are we just the simulation?
Wow. Now there is a thought to keep you up at night. The next time you frantically plug your phone in at 1%, take a second to ask yourself which iteration of the universe you're actually charging it in. Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey through time, space, and entropy. Until next time, keep questioning.